This is a weird spot to be in. Well, probably much less sadder than it could have been. I just got out of the point in a project where you realize that if you don't correct this mistake right away, you're going to end up regretting it. A quick story time. I'm knitting the LeafhopperKnits and Row Raglan, which is a raglan all over colourwork sweater with a contrast and main color. So it's two color color work, if I'm calling that correct. And I cast on the sweater. I did the neckline. Well, I cast on with a tubular cast on, did the neckline, and did the short rows as well. So I followed the collar chart all over and finished the color work for the collar and short row section. But then when I tried it on, I realized that it was a little too tight for me. Here's a picture of how it looked before I decided to frog it. Frogging it was a difficult decision because I really liked how it was at that point, and it was a small challenge because this is my first time casting on a colorwork sweater or any colorwork project for that matter. I have a method in progress, but I don't know where it is right now. I don't have it on me, so it might get done sometime. Sorry for the noise in the background, but it is what it is. So I wore it with the since I'm knitting it on magic loop, I just wore it and realized it was too tight around my head. I was knitting the size 1, but I am knitting it slightly off gauge, probably on the smaller end, because and this time when I cast on, I decided to just do a regular long tail cast on and do a folded collar. The reason for this is that I do like a thicker collar, one, and the second reason is that because it'll be a slightly larger size, I don't want it to be a gaping hole in the neck region, so a folded one just might make it look a little more polished and cute. This is how the folded collar looks, and I like the fit. There was a point of time when I wanted to make the collar longer, but I don't think that goes with the vibe of the sweater or with how I want it to fit. So I'm sticking to what the pattern described other than folding the collar. I also realized I did not talk about the yarn that I'm using for this project. I'm using Merino Superfine from Hardwood Premium Yarns India, which is 100% merino wool yarn, which comes in 50-gram ball and has a meterage of 140 meters per 50-gram ball. It's around 4 to 8 if I'm not wrong, but I'm getting it on 3 millimeters and almost met gauge. The yarn itself is very soft, easy to use, and has a good feel to it, but I've heard that it can be a little splitty. I think I have some experience with this yarn being splitty, but it was not too bad because I was using the Knit Pro Mindful Collection metal needles, which do have a lace tip. What I mean by this is the tip of the needle is slightly longer than average needles and more sharp. So that might be one of the reasons I did not find it to be too splitty. But there were sections, especially when I was doing the bind off, that I found it to be a little splitty. But it didn't bother me a lot, so that's well and good. It fits me otherwise and really comfortable to wear. Which also brings to the point that it could pill a little. I did find that by the time I was done with the body, there was some pilling or fuzziness near the collar, but it didn't really show up a lot, or I don't think it's a huge problem. So that's about the yarn. But I think only time will tell because it is my first time using this yarn. I have about 6 rows before I need to split for sleeves, and so far it feels really good, and I think it's also uh, So far it's been a very good knit, and I have seen quite a lot of improvement in the way my tension for these colorwork motifs go. So I can see that there's some pluckering in this section, but as we go forward, that's reduced quite a bit. So I'm happy that I'm learning how to do this. I did do a fit check yesterday when I was about here, and it fit really well. So I think they go up to very close to where this t-shirt is right now. So it comes a little above the hem, and it fits well overall. I'm going to do the split either today or tomorrow. I'm not really sure when that'll happen, but this is very comfortable. I was happily knitting away, and then I realized there's something wrong about this particular row of ants. Not sure how clear this is, but I have an extra section of the body repeat where there should not be a repeat, and yeah, that was my mistake. So I decided to add in a lifeline using red color yarn on just a contrast color of yarn, so that I can add it in here and then pick up. First, I'm knitting on 3mm, and I happen to have a set of 2mm needles, circular needles with me. So I'm just adding that as a lifeline, and it's working out well. Well, as well as it can go at this point. So I've done about 3/4 of it, and I'm just going to finish threading the second finish threading the section, and so I'm just going to finish threading in this other needle as a lifeline, and then I'll just have to re-knit more carefully and maybe have a printed piece of this motif somewhere on me so I can go back to it whenever I need to. Yeah, this is one mistake I was really scared to make, but it's okay, it happens, part of learning. In my case, I need to unravel 5 rows of knitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm inserting the inserting the needle into the right leg of the stitch. That is the first leg of the stitch, and I keep track to make sure that I'm not picking out a stitch from the row below or above by making sure that I count 5 stitches after the needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th one is on the needle. So I make sure I do this count every once in a while so I'm not picking up something wrong. And once this is done, I'm just going to knit with my right needles, and well, after unraveling, I'm going to knit with the right set of needles of the 2mm needles. Also, I have a 2.5mm needles, but they're on my muscle bra hat right now, so I can't use it. It's the 1st of February tonight, and I have split for the sleeves and done about 1.5 ant repeats so far. And this is how much of yarn I have in each color. My plan was initially to knit until I finish the black color and then start on the sleeves, but I might have to change it slightly. So on Tuesday morning, so that's 3 days from now, I'm going to be leaving for a field trip for a week long, and I'll only be back on the 8th or maybe the 9th, I'm not sure as of yet. So that's almost a week of knitting time, which is very crucial because I want to get this done by the 15th of this month so that I have time to block and then use this on a trip, on a trek that I'm going. So it's quite a lot of pressure to finish this by then, and it's also going to be my birthday sweater, so it's, yeah, I want that happening. Anyway, so I need to pack yarn, but because these are metal needles, I won't be able to knit on them on the plane ride there, but it's a significantly shorter ride. I think it's about 2 hours, but there'll be a 6 to 7 hour road trip involved after, during which I plan to knit. So I'll have this. I might or might not take something smaller. I haven't decided on it, but let's see later. This is the main thing I want to do. So yeah, I will have this plus another set of, well, 2 balls, and maybe, just maybe I should carry another set with me. I feel like this is going to be too much, but I'd rather have more yarn than be sad because I don't have enough yarn part-time on my hand. This is my slightly organized yarn pile as of 13th of February, and I assume that I would need around 2 balls of colored and main and contrast for each of my sleeves. So this is for sleeve 1, sleeve 2, and hopefully this is enough for the body. My current plan is just to knit the body completely and then go back to the sleeve, although I did start on one of the sleeves. I have just a tad bit done on this sleeve. I wanted to pick up stitches. They look pretty clean. And before I forget, let me tell you why there's a gap between the 1st and 13th of February. I took this whip along with me to the field, but work was really tiring and I felt sick as well, so I was not able to do as much as I thought I could on the project. There were a few home office days before the weekend and right after the fieldwork, so I came back to my hometown where the ants in a Row Raglan saga started in the first place. I have really less time, I think about a little more than a week before my provincial deadline for this project is. And being here gave me a lot of motivation because I started it here, and maybe the start of the end for this project could also begin here. Being here did make a lot of difference. To my surprise, I was mostly on track and managed to finish the body and work on the first sleeve. Once I was back in Bangalore, I zoomed through and finished the first sleeve. But by the time I was halfway through the second sleeve, it was the morning of February 19th. I could not record it, but my sweet grandpa helped me block what was done using the steam function on my iron so that I could make it to my train on time. I got the train to Kolkata all ready to be in it for the next 30 or so hours. The journey was wonderful with great sights and co-passengers who mostly kept to themselves, which is quite rare on an Indian train, to be honest. And it was also my first time doing a long distance train journey all by myself, but I did like how peaceful it was to see the changing scenery as the train traveled for over 1,900 kilometers from Bangalore to Kolkata. And by the time I reached Kolkata, I had only the last 1 or 1.5 motifs remaining on my sleeve. So I let it be and spent the evening shopping and going around the city. On the 21st, however, my day started before 4 a.m. because I had a train to Siliguri at 5:55 in the morning. Once I found my feet and settled in, I got to work on the second sleeve. I watched a couple of Ghibli films and took in the beautiful scenery of rural Bengal and napped a bit. Once my train reached Siliguri, I checked into my hotel and explored the town. It's about 10 p.m. in the night, and this is definitely going to be the last day that I will be knitting on my ants in a row raglan. I say this with a lot of surety. I potentially could have had more knitting time today, but I wanted to explore the city And here are a few sights from the city. I will insert them here. But yeah, it's a little city with very good character. There's a lot of tea places, so I went to this particular tea store and got a bunch of teas. I got like a really special tea, which is a first flush of green tea. I forgot what estate it was. But yeah, I got this really nice. I got really little bit of it because it was quite expensive. But I also got some oolong tea, some two different types of black tea, and two different types of whole leaf green tea. I'm really excited to try them once I go back. The owner of the shop was really sweet. He was this old man who kind of like went through everything they have there, and it was really nice talking to him. What else did I do in Siliguri? I also walked by the local market. I think it's called Hong Kong Market or just the market, and they had a lot of really great selection of local vegetables. This is some shoddy work. Although a wet block might help ease things off, I don't think it's going to do a lot of great things to it. I do know how to do short rows, but short rows and color work was a little bit crazy. So there's puckering at least until the first two motif rounds, and that is definitely because I did not know how long my floats should be. And this is saying in comparison with the floats maybe after joining the body, because they're quite consistent for a first timer. For example, these are the last couple of floats, and I would like to call them perfect, or as perfect as I could have been as a first timer. This is pretty neat compared to whatever this is. One way I can see it being solved is just to cut all of these floats, but that would be a really bad idea because this is not a non-superwash yarn. I've used a superwash yarn. That's not going to happen, but that's all right. And I do think the neck, and this is also because of the floating issue, the float control issue, that, or float management issue, that it could have been a little more tight, a little more looser, because the ribbing sure is, but not this section, which is what makes it stand a little weird. You can't really see it, but it does not look right if you know what you're looking at. I think that's a good way to put it out. But yep, that's okay. It's not a big deal, and I'm going to be proud of it because that's what's more important. Okay, that was the first two issues. The second two issues again have to do with my skill or lack thereof. Is that I don't think I did a good job with this raglan increases. Issues of where you're holding two strands of yarn and knitting with two hands, something to do with that, because I can find like sections where that is all right, but all the sections where it's completely not all right. For example, the back section, this is some mumbo jumbo that I do not recognize, but that's okay, that's all right, happens. We're only learning. And there's actually a really good quote I want to quote right now. Okay, this is a line from Only Yesterday, a Studio Ghibli film, and it says, "If today is bad, then tomorrow will be better, and if tomorrow is bad, then try a little harder." This is what Taheo and the lead say in the Only Yesterday's film. I was watching it on the train right here, and it sort of stuck with me, and I think it can be applied to a lot of situations, including hobbies, because it's all right, but these are little things that I would want to improve on in the future. But yeah, it's okay. Uh, I think the sweater is also it's a living garment history in terms of how my colourwork knitting progressed. I like the length, it's not bad. But looking at this, I have this craving to have the same sweater, but um, with a turtleneck, like a really long turtleneck, and like a one row of pant over here, or maybe on the sleeves. That would be really cool. Like this is pattern that I see online, and I think I also have it in my saved Ravelry favorites. It's this sweater, or is it a jacket cardigan? I'm not sure, but probably both. The two different patterns then, because I know the sweater with the cardigan or the jacket pattern is by Gregoria Fibers, and it has a huge cable from both the sleeves, like through the back, and there's also a sweater pattern. I will link them here because I cannot recollect the name. And the good news is finally here. I was reaching the base camp on the 22nd of February. We were traveling in a 4x4 from Siliguri to Sepi village, which is in the Darjeeling district, and I managed to bind off just as we reached our lunch point. And here is my pièce de résistance. I wore it throughout the duration of the trek after reaching camp every day. I was a little sick, but it kept me warm. And now that it's almost blocked, the fit is much better. I really love how the long and flowy sleeves fit me. I can definitely see it becoming a wardrobe staple in the cooler months this year and in the future. The next couple of minutes are going to contain clips from my trek. I did the Sandakpur Falu trek, which was in northern Bengal, bordering India and Nepal. The changing views with increasing elevation, the snow, the gorgeous sunrise and sunsets, and the view of Everest and Kanchenjunga or the sleeping Buddha ranges were amazing and very overwhelming. Despite the walk or the trek being about 70 kilometers in the Himalayas, it was tiring but worth every bit. And to be honest, I can't wait to go back. Thank you for following along this long project vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it and see you next time. Happy making. Bye bye.